Welcome to the Aramco Powered by House studio. Today I'm with my lovely guest, Anne Van Dam. She was #1 in driving distance 2023. I think you averaged over 290, is that correct? And ATS Singapore, you played really well, and I just want to tell you about your energy meter powered by Aramco. You had 93%, which means you're pretty aggressive off the tee. I mean, you're swinging it well. Do you choose driver when you're out there just most of the time? What is your strategy?
Yeah, I think if I can, driver is definitely one of the strongest clubs in my bag. So if I can, I would definitely love to hit driver. And I think especially this past winter, I've worked on a lot of kind of different shots I can hit, kind of obviously my power bomb, as I call it, if I want to carry something and really work on carry. And it's a lot higher flight. And then, yeah, this off season, I worked a lot on almost hitting a little, not a chippy, but more like a 3/4 driver that's a little lower and runs a bit more. And that's kind of more of a fairway finder. So
interesting. Now let's talk about your energy meter here in Korea. You said you're hitting it a little bit less of a draw, a little bit more of a cut. So looking at this, your average score was 76% across 3 holes, 77% on 12, which is the toughest hole yesterday. 77 again on 13. Now I want to look at some of your swings. You said you're doing something different. I don't want to guess, but let's look at it together and you tell me.
Okay.
You walk me through it.
Let's see.
You have this beautiful extension. Hands are in line with the club head at the top. High finish. All right. So what have you changed from last year? I'm gonna.
Well, I think my biggest tendency if you look at it from down the line, sometimes, I get the club back a little too shut.
Okay.
Which it's something I always work on, is to kind of like have a natural, like I do it here. You see the right arm kind of like rotate a little bit more and you see my hands actually come a little bit more inside, where sometimes kind of go too outside and close. So that's kind of a feel where I want to be almost a bit more inside and rotate the face a little bit.
Okay, so you don't want it as close, but right now you're in perfect position,
exactly,
kind of parallel with your spine angle.
Yeah.
Let's keep going to the top of your swing.
And then from the top, it's really, I almost feel like I want to stop my arms moving as soon as my upper body stops moving. So I don't want my upper body to be done and my arms sometimes travel a bit.
Right.
So I really want to feel like I make a big turn and, if anything, have my backswing a little bit shorter. So yeah, if I look at it, my arms are nice and high, nice and wide. So
actually, you can see that great here.
Yeah. That's
something that long hitters do well, and I think we should tell viewers at home, is sequence. Your sequence is great, like arms, hands, shoulders, hips, then legs, right? And so you kind of want to unwind in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's really, starting the swing slow. You see my club goes like slow and low, I call it, always in my backswing.
Let's do that again.
You don't want to use any of your power in your backswing. You really want to make sure you set it in a great position at the top and really finish your backswing. For me, that's making, full turns. So I really look at my left shoulder. I want that to keep moving, and I want to see, my right shoulder come into the frame, which here, it's a pretty nice big turn, and, kind of one straight line with my arms. So,
this is amazing.
Yeah, I would say this is...
Look, if you can't do this at home, don't try and hit it far, okay? That's amazing. That's beautiful. And so, you do that. Oop, let's pause it really quickly right at the top. You're not really allowing this club to get too much past parallel.
Exactly, yeah. So that's kind of what I've been working on, which is nice. Been driving well pretty good so far the last couple of days. So it's nice to see some of the things you work on pay off in the course.
So this week I've already tried to do a little bit of math, 280 off the tee. Now, are you hitting 3-woods?
Not as much. It's quite a lot of drivers actually on this course, yeah. Okay.
And then 88% on the back. So tell me, the back plays tougher for a lot of these players. Why is it not tough for you?
Yeah, sometimes that's the funny thing, right? Hard holes makes you focus maybe a little bit more, right? When I have to hit this fairway. So, might be something in that.
Well, every time I look at your swing, it's beautiful, but I feel like there's other parts of your game that people overlook. So what's your strength that you think, we should focus on?
I think I have a lot of options with my iron shots. I like to shape it both ways. I'm very particular in my practice when I'm working on the range with, wanting to be able to hit a little knockdown shot, be able to cut a little bit, draw it a little bit. I feel like if I'm doing that well, I can go almost at every pin, which is a nice feeling to have. And I think it's very important to be able, if you hit it long, but in general, to be able to take a little bit off a full shot. That makes it a lot easier not to be too much in between clubs, and just, makes you have almost 3 yardages with every short iron, which if you're hitting that well, could be good for scoring.
She told me earlier that you have no shot that you can't hit, or there's no yardage, there's no in-between yardage.
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, if you have your full shot, which is your stock shot, and then you have your 3/4, which is actually my stock shot, we will talk about it a bit later, and then kind of my half shot. So with that, you have a lot of different yardages, and
let's see it. So you've got a 9 iron. We're going to walk over. No in-between yardages. Explain to me.
I've had it for way too long, so then make me work harder on it.
Now,
Because I used to hit the ball full almost every shot, also with my short irons, and because of that, you hit it too high, you create too much spin. It's hard to control into the wind, to back pin. So actually, my stock shot is, well, like I said, almost a 3/4 shot now. Yeah. I take it back a little shorter, and I always finish kind of in a 3/4 follow through.
So when you're working on this, and I want to kind of go in your order, would you start with just kind of that first knockdown, 3/4, then full?
Yeah, I would break it down. I love to hit shots, especially if I'm working on technique, to hit balls on a very low tempo.
Okay.
I think that gives you a lot of good awareness of certain positions that you want to go, that you want the club to be in. And it's actually harder to hit the ball on a slower speed. So it's 2 great drills in one, I would say. So I would start, if I want to cut a little bit. I always like, if I'm working really technical, I'll kind of make a little rehearsal.
Okay.
And then I try to do that, pretty similar, but really, really slow.
Well, I still felt the ground move.
I would say when I do these drills, like, I look very technical. Like, I want the club to be, in the perfect position. And I've definitely learned, once I get out on the course, I don't really care how it looks. I care more about how the feel is. So I kind of separate the two a lot when I work on the range, especially on these shots. I work very, very technical.
Well, it's actually really cool because the energy meter came up behind you, and it told us that it was 45% of your potential.
Yeah.
So now that means we're going to ramp it up and go to, like, what would you say, 55, 60?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Great shot. All right, so based on your feels, do you feel like it looked similar to the first one, but I could see that you took it a little bit further. Yeah. But again, you're giving it the same energy, right?
Yeah, and I think that's, what I've really had to learn throughout the years is you almost want to take your arm and your hand speed out of the shot, especially if you're tall. I have long arms, and it's very easy to create a lot of speed from your arms, from your hands, and that makes it very hard to judge or control the distance, especially under pressure. So if anything, my feels are always like, it's just a big turn and a turn. And yeah, that's definitely helped me.
Now out here, on some of these lies with this bluegrass, it's sitting up a little bit. The greens are firm, they're bent. Now, how do you adjust to, like, where the pin is and putting spin or putting less spin on your approach shots?
Yeah, that's definitely a good challenge this week. The grass is pretty hard to judge. I don't think the greens spin as much as normally what we play. So if anything, you're counting on a little bit of the ball rolling out. Also, depending on the slopes here, it's a lot like back to front. So you want to keep the ball under the hole. So yeah, you just go through all the different things that you go through with where do I want the ball to finish, which is obviously just below the pin, and then kind of make your decision with trajectory and where you want to land it from there.
Well, we actually have your swing behind you, so let's come back over here and take a look at this. All right, talk me through this again. This is our 3/4 shot.
Yeah, this is great. It's just a big turn on the way back. And
again, you said everything's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
There's no wrist cock here. It's one lever.
Yeah.
And this is something that people can do at home to ramp up their speed, right?
For sure, yeah.
Good fundamentals first. All right, we're going to go back to have you hit a full one.
Okay.
But something you do really well is you have a controlled fade as well. So these were kind of these slow one lever
Yeah.
draws. Can we see how do you hold off? How do you hit your fade? What is that? Explain that to us.
I do it mainly. I hit my ball flights mainly just from setup. I don't like to change too much in my swing. And there's little things you can kind of cheat with to make it easier for yourself. So if you kind of look at this is the straight line. If that's probably going at that yellow flag, I aim my club face a little left of that line, and I move my feet even slightly more left. With the fade, it's important to keep the ball position left. That's going to make it start left easier. So I have my shoulders parallel to my feet, and my club position or my face is slightly open towards that line. So I can basically make a straight swing parallel to my feet and actually release it left. So I don't like the feel of like holding a shot.
Oh, so it's a
If I just open up the face a little bit, I can still kind of release it parallel to my feet.
I like that.
And then with the draw, I kind of move it back a bit and do the same thing. So that's kind of, for me, it's the same swing feel, but just I cheat with it a little bit in my setup.
That's great. I think it's cool that you can explain that to the audience, that we're releasing it still, because I called it a hold up, so that was my bad. You're releasing it left.
Yeah, and for me, especially with the driver, if you have the ball position left and you wanna fade it very easily, kind of come out of it, and your path actually comes from the inside, and then you get these shots that you block out to the right. So with a fade, it's very important to almost feel like you're going with the butt end as quickly left as possible to really make the path come from the outside. So,
I love that. And then you're hitting that now to get that spin, right? So if we're hitting into a elevated green, do you want to have spin out here?
Here, it's a bit tough because it really depends on the wind. There's definitely some shots where you really try to throw it up in the air as much, and then other holes maybe like 9 and 18 where you almost take one more club and grip it down a bit and almost hit a little draw that it bounces and skips up. So it is pretty fun course to play. You have to be very creative with the shots you have to hit.
All right, let's watch you hit it.
Which one do you hold?
Yeah. I want you to do the left, the pull, the
okay.
Left
So left.
release.
So I always start. I look at the pin, kind of aim my face a little left of that, move my feet slightly more left, and then it's just swing parallel to your feet.
Awesome. Well, you finished last season 4 out of 6 of your events. I think you were in the top 10, and you're just an all-around athlete. You're a skier, you're a triathlon, Ironman. Does your mental game come from being an all-around athlete?
I think it definitely is like a mental release, right? For me, if I can do other sports next to my golf training, it makes me want to go to the golf course. I had times where all I did was play golf and practice nonstop, and actually lose love and the excitement for it a little bit. So, if I can have some days off or some half days off and do other sports and take a little trip and go skiing for a weekend, I cannot wait to then come back to the golf course. So for me, it's definitely also a thing I learned over the years it's okay to take a little break sometimes and do other things that make you happy.
Does your cycling help with like just your lower body speed? And those are other things that golfers can do besides working on just speed drills, correct?
Yeah, I think, with golf, it's cardio in a way in the end. So, the better you get with, doing power walks or going on slow bike rides or slight jogs, I think anything definitely helps for golf.
Well, thank you for coming in. It was great to watch you hit these controlled shots, and we love watching you hit drivers. So good luck this week.
Thank you so much.